The first patch for Victoria 3 has dropped, and it will be the first of many. These updates will help smooth over some rough spots, but what can Paradox do to make this game incredible? These are the 3 things Paradox needs to change to make Victoria 3 a certified masterpiece. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 100 subs by the end of the year. With that out the way, let's get into it. The first thing is provinces. Provinces in the game only really matter in war. Well, this should change. Right now, Pops live in states. They don't have specific provinces they live in or cities they call home. They just live anywhere in a state. I can see that this was done to simplify the development process of the game by the developers, but it has led to some significant problems. First of all, for anyone who doesn't know, Pops were province based, or at least the culture and religion of Pops were in Victoria 2. If you compare the culture map of Vicky 2 and Vicky 3, you can spot the inconvenience. That level of pop depth which existed in Victoria 2 and is more accurate to reality is missing in the sequel. Tying pops and buildings to specific provinces won't only help the map look more detailed, but will also make it easier for us to see who lives in our country and where. It will be a change which doesn't have any downsides and is a net benefit to the flavour of the game. To accompany this change, buildings would need to be built in provinces, not states. So a way of making this not get too complicated is you go to your building screen and you can build a textile mill, for example. When you click on it, you go to a screen with the provinces in the state, and the best provinces to make the building will be in green, the worst in red, and you can pick which provinces to build it in. The provinces best suited for a building be that way because of the number and type of pop, the number of unemployed pops, and of course resources. Yes, resources would have to be province based as well. If you want to build a coal mine, it must be where coal is. The coal must be transported from the new coal mine to a tooling factory in a city, and so forth. A pop working in this coal mine would live in the coal mine province with his dependents. The second big thing that should be changed in Victoria 3 links to the previous one. It is province-based war goals. You heard me right. In the game now, you can only take states, and most of these states will look horrible if you take them. A province-based war goal system would fix this and stop the permanent cycle of strokes, heart attacks and brain tumours I get from seeing unfixable border gore brought upon by this. This system would work by the player or the AI making a war goal in a diplomatic play for conquering a state. It will then zoom on this state and you will get to choose the provinces you want to take in that state, or you can choose to decide to acquire the whole thing. Not taking all the state will, if you win the war, split the state into 2 state regions. By the way, state regions already exist in Victoria 3. Because Pop's buildings and resources are now province based, this isn't that big of a deal. This system would make it possible for you to make the shape of your country whatever you want, and you will have more freedom and yes, soothe your border gore inflicted heart. If this province-based war goal mechanic is to be implemented, infamy must be given proportional to the number of provinces you are taking and what is in them provinces. You can't get the same amount of infamy you would get if you took all the state if you only want one province. Also, the AI would have to be very carefully tweaked because a system like this, I fear, would have the potential to make border gore even worse, and I wouldn't be able to handle that. To moderate this, provinces can only be taken if they are connected to your own country, have a coastline, or are directly next to provinces you have also claimed. An example of how this would work and why we need this system is France because of its natural borders. If you didn't know, the French have always believed all land west of the River Rhine belonged to them. This is impossible to replicate in the game right now, but if Victoria 3 has the mechanic I propose, this would be possible. France at many points in the Victorian time period came close to achieving its natural borders, so this wouldn't be too unrealistic. This system would just add a little more flavour, possibilities and freedom to Victoria 3. But I reckon it's just a pipe dream. I think I have to wait for a better states mod to achieve French greatness. Finally, and most importantly, Paradox should definitely add a parliamentary system into Victoria 3. The way this would work is there will be a parliament law just like the other laws in the game, and this law selection will include rules like no parliament, estates general, summoned parliament and elected parliament. This can also include Soviet councils and syndicalist unions, but these can only be unlocked with certain enacted government styles. You can guess which ideologies these last two belong to. A set amount of MPs or senators are elected or summoned from each province. These MPs or senators will represent the ideology of the province they are from. So if universal suffrage has been enacted and 20% of the pops in a province belong to the landowner's interest group, 20% of the MPs/senators from that province will be members of the landowner's IP. But if wealth voting is enacted, the 20% landowners pops now have 80% of the vote, so 80% of their representatives will belong to the landowner's IP. The parliament will exist in a separate screen, and this is where laws and changes in institution will pass or fail. This mechanic will add greater depth and replayability to the law and institution side of the game. Each senator or MP will have their own traits, so won't always vote how the rest of their party or interest group do. For example, a monarchist member of the intelligentsia may vote to maintain the monarchy even though the rest of his interest group is voting against it. This mechanic also maintains the fact that passing laws can stall or fail. Here is some juicy content which a parliament system will add to Victoria 3. The opposition, aka all interest groups that are not in your government, will have a higher probability of opposing any law you want to pass. This will prioritise you to focus on having over 50% political clout in your government, as well as legitimacy, so sometimes you will have to sacrifice legitimacy to pass laws. This will also force you to make coalition governments with interest groups you really don't want, but need in order to achieve your goals. A parliament system can also allow you to bribe or make deals with IP leaders to persuade them to support you. A monarch who is struggling to pass a law can assemble parliament with the summoned parliament law or estates general to speed up law passing. This would cost authority, and of course, a monarch or presidential dictator can dissolve parliament, again using authority. This would have consequences, however. As you can see, this system has infinite possibilities for unique playthroughs and will also make Victoria 3 more realistic, especially in the later game. Thank you for sitting through this ramble of ideas. Subscribe to join me in my passion for history games. Like I said before, I am trying to get to 100 subscribers by Christmas. Thank you a lot. If you want to see some ideas I have to change warfare for the better in Victoria 3, watch this video here. With that said, see you next time.